أعوذ بالله والصلاة والسلام على أشرف الأنبياء نبينا محمد وعلى أهله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا. Assalamu alaykum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So for this seminar, whether we can call it seminar or a webinar, so we give thanks to Allah that makes this day available for everybody, and count us among those who will witness today's lecture or training about Islamic inheritance. So firstly, I will first introduce myself briefly. My name is Adibari Abdurrahim, a, a citizen of Nigeria, and precisely Oyo State town, Ibadan. So I'm currently also a student, so undergraduate, I'm still an undergraduate student studying Islamic banking and finance in Malaysia, one of the university that offers Islamic banking in Malaysia, which is sometimes you can call it QUIPS, you can call it Unisiraj, because we just changed our school name from QUIPS to Unisiraj. So I'm very happy to meet all of you in order to share knowledge, in order to give ourselves knowledge, to share the knowledge of inheritance between ourselves. So the books we are going to use, or let me say slide, but if anybody is willing to collect all the materials being used in this training, so we are going to receive some amount. But if just to listen to the lecture and to gain experience from how Islam deals with inheritance, so it's good. So, but to have access to the materials will be paid for. So, in short, so Islamic inheritance is one of the knowledge that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes by himself. All the other knowledge, so there are some, the primary principle, the primary, what's it called? The primary evidence in sharing inheritance within the heirs. So it's being done by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's being done by him. And this is being done in Surah An-Nisa. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala explain how to give the harith, which is those who the deceased person, that's the person that died. So how can we what? How can we share the estates, the property left by the what deceased person? So this is an architecture of inheritance, an introduction to al-Mawarith, which we call Faraid, So, and this slide and books that is made from many sources of books, and from the Quran, Hadith, and the book of some scholars. So to know the meaning of or the science of inheritance, so which is called Mirath in linguistic, they call it the transfer of what of something to another, succeeding someone in wealth, knowledge, or honor. So Faraid is what is the framework. Mirath is what is the transfer. Why the Faraid is what is the framework of giving the harith their what their shares after the death of the deceased person. Okay, so that's the framework, and the framework is done by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as we have said before. And the legal transfer, and in technical, when we say the linguistic meaning of something and the technical meaning. In linguistic, we call in lugha, linguistic. So in normal language, we call it transfer. But in technical meaning, the meaning of Mirath is called what? The legal transfer of financial rights from a deceased person, which is al-Mawarith, to a living person, which is al-what? Al-Warith. So, and we have Faraid, to be what? To be the framework. Why the linguistic meaning to determine or to fix precisely, which share is someone going to what? Going to acquire after what? After the death of the deceased person. So which particular share is what is applicable to someone. So in the technical meaning of this is that the jurisprudential and arithmetic principle used to calculate which relative inherit, which do not inherit, and the what exact share due to each. So before we move down to some terms and general meaning, let us know the objective of Islamic inheritance. So one of the objectives is that of what we are going to learn in this chapter is that the definition of Mirath, which is inheritance, Faraid, both linguistically and the technical meaning. Distinguishing between the two terms. So one of it is identifying the source of Islamic inheritance law, the Quran, the Sunnah, and Ijma. So those are the source of what Islamic inheritance law. And the primary the primary source of this Islamic inheritance is what? Is the Quran. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala explain it vividly in Surah al-What? In Surah al-Nisa. Also, recall the report concerning the virtue of learning and teaching the Faraid. So one of it is understanding the reality of inheritance before Islam and its shortcomings, and trace the stage of what early Islamic legislation. So we are going to learn how the ruling is passed down from the pre-Islam to what, to early Islam, to what, to the to the final message of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So one of it is derive the underlying wisdom and higher objective maqasid behind what the Islamic system of inheritance. So the maqasid, which is the objective, the higher objective, we call something maqasid. What are the objective? We can call it objective. We can call it the main reason of what under the system of inheritance in Islam. So one of the objective that's we are going to learn in this chapter, because it's divided into three chapters: chapter 1, chapter 2, and chapter 3. So the chapter 1 is what we are going to discuss this week, inshallah. So one of the objectives of this chapter is that to recognize at an introductory level the rights attached to an estate, and the pillars, condition, causes, and what in ahead of their what full treatment in later chapters. So we are going to treat the explicit discussion about it in the next chapters. But just to know some pillars and condition, the pillars, condition, and the what legal rights attached to al-Mirath. So, and the objective of this training, or let us call it training or webinar, is to enabling the student to understand and precisely define the core terminology of the science of Faraid. One of it is establishing the evidence for inheritance rulings from the Quran, the Sunnah, and the statements of scholars. So one of it is training the students to derive the legally prescribed shares and to walk through inheritance calculations step by step. So we are going to talk about that also. So one of it is linking juristic rulings to their underlying wisdom and objectives, rather than committing them to memory as bare rules. So one of it is preparing the student to apply this knowledge to contemporary questions of estate distribution. So we are going to now we are going to talk about some terms and their meaning and their general meaning. So the first one is Mirath, which is known as inheritance. So this is transfer of deceased person's financial rights to those entitled among his or her heirs. So those who are going to receive the shares afterwards, after the death, after he has died, he or she has died. So it can be a male or a female. Why the Faraid is known as the science by which it determines who inherits, who does not, and the share due to to each heir. So al-Mawarith is called the deceased person. Al-Mawarith, the person who died that we want to the family or the close person want to inherit. So the deceased person whose wealth and rights pass to his or her heir. So also we have what we call al-Warith. Al-Warith are the left people, or they are the people that are going to inherit what? The person that died. So one who is entitled to a share of the deceased estate by a recognized legal cause. So also we have Attarika. What is called Attarika? Attarika is the estate, the left thing afterwards, after the person has died. The property, we can call it the property, we can call it the estate, we can call it let's just call it the general meaning is just an estate. So everything the deceased leaves behind of wealth or transferable rights. So there are some transferable rights which are not tangible wealth. Like now, we can call it we can have some shares, some stocks, some there are some what we call them I've forgotten, or we can call it a trademark of something. So that has a legal rights that can be transferred from one person to another. So one of the terminology that we have is ashabul furud, the fixed share heirs. So those who their shares are being fixed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran, which is Surah An-Nisa. The amount of these shares is just, I think, six. It's six. So that we are going to talk about later. So, and also we have al-wasiyya. Al-wasiyya is the what? Is a gift. Is a gift that a deceased person has stated before he died that they should what? They should distribute after his death. They should distribute after his death. If you there is one interview that they interviewed Dangote when he's talking about that his shares, the one part of his shares will be what will be distributed whenever anything happens to him this any moment from now. That means he also practiced what the Islamic inheritance. This answer came when they are asking him that his wealth, how does do you think he is going to share it? He said, my religion has what has teach me or has given a guide to what to distribute a wealth. And this wasiyah can't be shared over 1/3 of the what of the wealth you have. If you have a wealth, so the 1/3 is a legal thing to what to do wasiyah of to gift out. So la wasiyata ba'da thuluth. No any gift, no any wasiyah. After what? After 1/3 of your wealth. So you can distribute all your wealth. You can distribute all your wealth. So only 1/3. So also we have al-mawani wal-irth. So the mawani wal-irth, so is what we call the things that makes someone to disqualify from inheriting someone. Now you have a legal right to what? To inherit someone, but you are being nullified because of some factors that you what that is present in you. So in this case, you are going to be nullified. We are not talking about you, but I'm just saying you the person that is being nullified will have some factor before it can be nullified. Before he or she can be nullified from what? From inheriting from the close person, maybe his father, maybe a mother, or something like that. Everything like that. So now we are going to talk about Mirath. Technically, we said earlier on that jurists define Mirath as what? A transfer of of financial rights from a deceased person, which is called al-Mawarith, to a living person, which is called al-Warith. Al-Warith are the one that what are the living person after what? After the dead person. So those terminology we need to take note of it, so that whenever somebody is we also want to pass this kind of knowledge, we know some terminology to use whenever you want to use it. So by one of the recognized legal causes of what? Inheritance, such as blood. So before you can inherit somebody, is either you must be a recognized legal. You must be legal. It must be caused by what? By legal recognition of you. One of its legal recognition of the living person is that you are related with blood with the person that died, or what? Marriage. So, or what? Al-wali. The wali is what we call the bond of when a wali, a person that's have a wali, you can say. So wali in normal language is when a person that helps somebody in the time of in the past. We always have slaves, right? So after a slave is being enslaved by somebody, the kind of that person that helps the slave to become an enslaved person is we call wali. So the kind of that person that can also what? Inherit a what? The enslaved enslaved person. So this definition brings together the three pillars of what? Inheritance introduced in notes. Inshallah, we shall talk about the principle of the pillars of inheritance at some level, inshallah. So, and we have the definition of Faraid, which we call the plural of Farida. Farida. Faraid is the plural for what? Farida. Farida is singular, while the Faraid is what? The plural. Derived from the what? Al-Fardu, meaning to determine or to fix precisely. Once say the judge fixed Farad, the maintenance, meaning he set its amount. Farad al-Qadi, meaning he said what? He set its amount. So the legal prescribed share in the inheritance were named Faraid, because they are amounts precisely and definitively fixed by what? By the lawgiver, leaving no room for independence, juristic discretion on the part of the head. So what they are trying to say here is that this Faraid, the meaning of Faraid is that a particular amount is fixed on a person without having or without leaving no room for any individual to bring another what? Another thing. To bring another thing that will what? That will be differ from what? The fixed amount given to that person. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given a zawj, which is husband, 1/2, whenever the wife doesn't have children. Nobody can give him another thing. Nobody. No room for the for an independent juristics. So that's it. Al-fard, fariyada. So one of it is in technical meaning, we call Faraid is the terminology of the jurist. Faraid is a science comprising principle of jurisprudence and arithmetic. So by which one determines which relative inherit and which do not inherit, and the share due to what each inherit from the estates. The science is sometimes also referred to as the science of Mirath. So, or the science of what? Distributing of estates, which is atterica. Distributing of terika, distributing of estate, distributing of what? Property. Closely related term defined only in the what? In the angle from which the subject is viewed. So now we are going to the source of now we have the elevated standing of Faraid. So we have divine precision, we have social necessity, and we have scholarly prestige on this. Sorry. So divine precision, the only science detailed with exact numerical fractional in the Quran, as we have said before. It is only fractional divided in the Quran. Leave no room for human discretion regarding basic amounts. So social necessity, universally required in daily practice, unlock financial rights, prevent injustice, and also it's definitely resolve what family disputes. So before there is not what is called Faraid. All like now in Yoruba land, in our own place, they usually divide harif, the property, based on what? Based on, they call it Odi Ojuri. So based on the amount of children that a wife gives to the what? To the person. Even some of the brothers of the person will just collect all the properties without giving the family anything, without giving his son, his wife, anything. So also we have scholarly prestige. So they said this kind of knowledge is half of knowledge because is the only knowledge left afterwards, after the person has died. After a person died, that's the only knowledge that is available after a person died. That's why they call it half of knowledge. So now we are going to talk about the source of Islamic inheritance law. So we have the Quran, and we have the Sunnah, and we have the Ijma. So as we know, the Quran is the fundament, the primary and the most important source of Islamic inheritance law. Unlike most other areas of Islamic law, where the text generally lay down broad principle. So this particular source lay down the foundation for what? For any other things in Islamic inheritance. So, and it is explicitly detailed in Surah Al-Nisa, verse 7, 11, 12, and 176. So that's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala starts with يُوصِيكُمُ اللَّهُ فِي أَوْلَادِكُمْ لِلذَّكَرِ مِثْلُ حَظِّ الْأُنثَيَيْنِ. So also in Surah in chapter 11, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is saying, is talking about وَلَكُمُ النِّصْفُ مَا تَرَكَ أَزْوَاجُكُمْ إِن لَّمْ يَكُن لَّهُنَّ وَلَدٌ. And for you is half of what your wives leave if they have no child. Also, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about it in يَسْتَفْتُونَكَ قُلِ اللَّهُ يُفْتِيكُمْ فِي الْكَلَالَةِ. That one is the end of the what? Of the surah, which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala also explained those who leave this heart without leaving any what? Any لَيْسَ لَهُ وَلَدٌ, doesn't have a what? A son or children, and doesn't have what? Parents. So the second source of legal authority is the Sunnah. So where Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam explained some rulings. So it performs several essential functions in relation to the Islamic rulings, explaining verses that require elaboration. So as we have known that Sunnah came to what? To broaden the Quran. That's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah An-Nisa also that مَنْ يُطِعِ الرَّسُولَ فَقَدْ أَطَاعَ اللَّهَ. Whoever follows Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam as what? Has followed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because this prophet we sent to you can never takes something from his own. Rather, it is the what? It is the wahi. The wahi we sent to him. ما ينطق عن الهوى إن هو إلا وحي يوحى. So the second source of this knowledge is what? Sunnah, Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Like the hadith that Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam stated that ألحقوا الفرائض بأهلها فما بقي فلأولى رجل ذكر, and give the prescribed shares to those entitled to them. And whatever remains, go to the what? The nearest male relative. You know, in the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala only explain zawj, which is uh, the husband. Those male that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala explained in the Quran was what? Was husband and only ab, which is father. But the remaining males, the remaining male gender that are going to receive this faraid, what was explained by Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam in this hadith, that whenever you give all the faraid, all the fixed shares to those who you have given those who are available among the what? Among the living people of the dead. Whenever you have given them their fixed one, then the remaining will go to what? The closest what? Adhakar, the closest male gender. For example, if a person leave this, we call it al-baqi. The leftover will be given to what? To the closest what? Closest male gender. We shall explain more about it when we move on to the next stage. So the next one is al-ijma, scholarly consensus on what? The scholarly opinions, the scholarly opinions on what? On this particular knowledge. So scholarly consensus that settle interpretational gap, not explicitly detailed in the text. So like ruling of grandparents, so was explained by what? Is not detailed explained by Quran, but was explained by what? The scholars. So now, before we go to the historical development of inheritance, so let us talk about a little importance of what? Of inheritance. So not in the slide. So one of the importance is that is the only science whose rulings the Quran detailed by specifying the exact numerical shares. So unlike most other areas of jurisprudence where only general principle were laid down. So one of it is that it bears a direct connection to people's financial rights, and ignorance of it may lead to what? Injustice toward some heirs, so which are the living person after the dead person, or the unlawful consumption of their property. So one of the importance of Faraid is that it eradicates any injustice among what? Among the family of what? Of the dead person. So as you have said before, like now, I said in Jahiliyyah, we shall talk about it. In Jahiliyyah time, they usually not give they don't give the female herit what? An inheritance. They don't give them. They usually say one statement that we can never give those who can't fight a what? A property. They usually say that this kind of word, which Islam came to what? To eradicate. One of it is the judiciary and the issuing of legal opinion, fatwa, have a continually renewed need for it, given the constant occurrence of death and the countless forms inheritance cases may take. So one of the importance of this field of this science of Faraid is that that combine the jurisprudence with arithmetic, training the students in precision of both legal reasoning and numerical calculation. So one of it is that it safeguards the right of herit by fixing in advance the share due to what? Each eligible relative, and by the taking what? By the same token, help prevent or resolve dispute among what? Family members after a death. So those are the importance of this particular inheritance. Inshallah, we shall stop here and we shall continue tomorrow bi'idhnillah. So we shall continue tomorrow bi'idhnillah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.